Well, hello, everybody, and welcome again to this OpenShift Commons briefing. We're really pleased today to have the folks from Produban with us to talk about their journey from PaaS and to OpenShift 3 on OpenSta. So there's lots of great information here. Some of you may have heard the main presenter, Cristian Ronaldo, talk previously at Red Hat Summits about their journey to OpenShift 2. And that was an awesome presentation. So we were really thrilled to have him back to do this talk and tell them how the journey has progressed. And so what we're going to do is we're going to give them about 30 minutes to talk about their experiences, their lessons learned, things that they want to see in the next generation of OpenShift. And then you can ask questions in the chat room. Everybody is muted except the speakers. There are some folks from Produban with us, so they may answer the questions in the chat for you. At the end of the presentation, any unanswered questions we'll ask out loud, and we may repeat a few of the questions you asked in chat because chat isn't saved in the recording. So without further ado, Cristian, I'll let you take it away and introduce your team, and let's get started.
Hello everybody. My name is Cristian. The idea for this presentation is to talk about how we have deployed OpenShift version 3 on Red Hat OpenStack. So let's start. Who is in this presentation? Who is who? Well, my name is Cristian. I am the PaaS project manager. Here with me is also Pablo Alonso Rodriguez, who is our principal PaaS engineer, and also Eduardo Dominguez from Red Hat. He is our senior architect. So let's go to the next slide. I would like to talk about what is Produban. Well, what we do. Well, Produban is a global company. We belong to the Santander group. Produban is an IT company for Produban, for Santander group. So we are more or less 5,000 professionals around the world. In this slide, we can see that we are in Mexico, United States, Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Spain, Portugal, UK, German, etc. So we are basically a global company and belong to the Santander groups. Okay. In this slide, I would like to explain what is our main objective using OpenShift. Well, we have to design, deploy, and operate a multi-region private PaaS solution. This PaaS, we are using OpenShift version 3. Also, we were using OpenShift version 2. But we migrated to version 3 because we love containers. We think that container is a great technology. That's the reason why we are using OpenShift version 3. This PaaS solution, we use this PaaS solution for a financial application. So, for our perspective, this PaaS is really critical because we are running financial applications. So for us, it's a big challenge in order to have a very stable PaaS environment for this kind of application is a really big challenge. So why this service is multi-region. Why? Because we have banks in United States, Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Mexico, Portugal. So we have right now five regions. OpenShift is currently deployed only in 2 regions in Spain, but for the next month we will have the Mexico regions. We will have two OpenShift deployments in Mexico. Our regions, each region has 3 availability zones. We can see in this slide the different regions, and also we can see the availability zones. Okay. Well, in this slide, the idea is that I would like to talk about our OpenShift architecture. So we can see that we provide we have several layers. The first layer is load balancing. We use HA proxy to balance different kind of services. We have here the different kind of services. We balance console, OpenShift console, OpenShift API. We balance internet applications, intranet applications. We balance S3 services. Okay, so we have deployed the load balancer in three regions. Here we can see the availability zone 1, availability zone 2, and 3. The 3 availability zones are deployed on OpenStack. The version that we use is Juno. Okay. The next layer is OpenShift master. We have 3 OpenShift master for each region. Every OpenShift master is deployed in one availability zone. Also, in this node, we have the etcd service. The next layer, we have 3 or more nodes for OpenShift infrastructure. We use this kind of nodes for routers, for Haukular, and also we could use this kind of node for OpenShift internal registry. Okay. The next layer, we can see the OpenShift service. We basically are OpenShift nodes. This node are deployed in 3 availability zones. We have 2 groups of nodes. One group is for production, and the other group of nodes is for non-production services. Okay, we have several nodes in each region, and we deploy new nodes every month. Okay, because we are growing more or less 20% every month. Well, also we have for persistent storage, persistent volumes, we use Ceph. We have a Ceph cluster for our persistent service. We use this persistent service for basically for MySQL, Postgres, Cassandra, And also we have activated the Rados gateway for offset storage. In the monitoring, PaaS infrastructure monitoring, we use Wiley Interscope. We have developed a very big monitoring solution. We monitor every OpenShift component, every PaaS component that we have deployed in each region. Probably in another presentation, I would like to show our monitoring solution. For reporting, we have CloudForms. We deploy the CloudForm node, but at the moment we are not using the CloudForm solution for OpenShift. But the idea is to use this service soon. For OpenShift login, OpenShift infrastructure login, we are using Elasticsearch Kibana Logstash solution. We use this log management cluster only for the infrastructure logs. We don't use this cluster for application logs. Also, we have a special node called SAM host. Through this host, we deployed the OpenShift cluster. Eduardo will talk about how we deploy the infrastructure, OpenShift infrastructure, using Ansible and Puppet. So it's a very interesting topic. For application monitoring, we have a special cluster. We use CA Interscope, Wiley Interscope for application. We have three nodes, one node in each availability zones. And also we deploy three Docker registry, one for Europe, another for Mexico, and the last one for Brazil. Okay? And also this architecture has a special data lake, a big data cluster, and this big data we only store logs from applications. Okay, so we develop a special console. We are not using Kibana. We develop a console that is integrated with the OpenShift security in order to get the logs from the different projects. Okay, so basically this is our architecture. Is a very complex solution. For authentication, at the moment we are using LDAP, but we are planning to migrate to OAuth 2. And we also use external services from Red Hat, IDM, DNS, LTP, proxy, satellite capsule. Okay. So in the next presentation, Pablo Alonso will talk about networking, SDN-WAS plus OpenStack. Okay, so Pablo.
Thank you very much. So we use, as we may have already mentioned, Red Hat, OpenStack, and Nuage SDN. We deploy on top of them. Why do we use an OpenStack infrastructure as a service? Many of you may be very familiar with typical infrastructure as a service advantages, easier VM management, and so on. There's nothing new to say about that, but because of some special requirements of our applications at the moment, they should be in-house. So this is one of the reasons because of which we decided to have an in-house solution instead of using a public cloud at the moment. Why did we use Nuage SDN? If you don't know about Nuage, it's an SDN made by Alcatel. It's a very complex and good SDN solution. SDN stands for Software Defined Network. If you know about OpenShift, you may already be already very familiar with that because OpenShift has an SDN. We use it because it allows us a very easy network management, easier than in the traditional world, of course. Our networking environment is completely isolated, so we can decide what comes in, what goes out, and nothing else. And we can avoid many IP addressing problems. The biggest advantage, we can define very fine-grained traffic ACLs. It means firewall rules. We can say from IA to B, there can be communications, are TCP ports, 80, 443, and nothing more. And we can restrict in a very specific way which traffic is allowed and which traffic is not allowed, which is somewhere known as microsegmentation. And last but not least, we also leverage that Nuage allows interconnecting OpenStack projects in a very flexible way. And we use that to access some backends we need to do, and in a more secure way than just going out and in again by our internet. So there is also, this is a very good solution, and we are happy with it using Nuage SDN at the infrastructure level. There are some aspects that can be improved in both OpenStack, on both Nuage SDN and the OpenShift networking by using Nuage. I mean, as I have already said, OpenShift has its own SDN. So if we deploy OpenShift on top of OpenStack and Nuage, we are deploying one SDN on top of another SDN. This is not a good idea. And also there are some things in the OpenShift SDN that could be improved. It allows some very basic networking configurations, while on the other hand, Nuage allows very complex configuration. Because of that, Nuage people are developing a Nuage plugin for OpenShift. I think there are some traces of that in OpenShift origin code, but I'm not sure. Whatever. We have recently participated in a proof of concept of this plugin, which is in a very early development stage. We have participated in that proof of concept, and we saw that what they have already developed. They already offer a bunch of interesting features, like having one subnet per project. If you are not familiar with OpenShift SDN, it allocates a subnet per node. And and when but allows isolating networking among projects. It means you can have network connections between pods on project A, but not from project A or project B, but you can connect project C to project A and then connect pods, and then pods from project A can talk with pods of project C, but not with pods of project B. But this is not. This is completely decoupled from subnets because subnets depend only on nodes. That can be something difficult to think about if you come from the traditional networking world. So they offer using one subnet per project, which is more logical and allows someone to do some other advanced networking configurations. It also, the most important feature, I think I should have put it first, is that it allows all the most advanced configuration. It allows to perform a very fine-grained configuration at the OpenShift level as it already does at the OpenStack level. And one important feature we are very happy with is that it keeps OpenShift Enterprise experience by default. It means if you use OpenShift plus Nuage, users will see the same that if they were not using Nuage, unless you want to configure something else. And of course, you will see something different, but not if you have touched nothing. We could provide them some feedback, we were very interested, for example, in tuning the solution to allow users to have self-service related to networking configuration, as we have as one of the advantages of SDNs at the OpenStack level is that you have self-service. No one from infrastructure has to touch Nuage so that you can configure your networks. It will be interesting to have that kind of self-service, that OpenShift users have that kind of self-service on their pods. And so other minor aspects. Of course, this is in a very early development stage. They are willing to develop another big bunch of new interesting features in the future, like, for example, a way to avoid the double overlay. It means to have two SDNs when you deploy OpenShift with Nuage on top of OpenStack with Nuage. And so we look forward for news about that because we found it very interesting. Now, our teammate Eduardo is going to talk about our automation and the steps we follow.
Hi everyone, this is Eduardo. I will try to be as fast as possible, and I would like to talk about our automatization that we have been working on the past few months. Okay, as Pablo and Christian talk about the architecture, we run OpenShift version 3 on top of OpenStack plus the Nuage SDN. So we first started with the OpenShift version 3.0, which we deployed using manual instance from Horizon, and we started to think about what we will do. Okay. This was a learning path. We faced a few issues, and we learned from the way that, on how to deploy OpenShift on the proper way. We need to tune a lot of things for our particular environment, and we faced some restrictions. Speaking about networking and things that makes us to customize a lot the OpenShift installation. For us, also, adding new nodes was pretty crucial because we started to grow pretty fast. We started with a few nodes, and then we suddenly faced that we were low on nodes. But as we customized a lot the nodes configuration and a lot of things, we couldn't run the Ansible installer with adding some nodes. So we started to working on Git templates and the a pretty basic script that will contain all the prerequisites like the Docker installation and all our customization. We call the script the common assets, and we started to work in the automatization. But the thing was that we didn't have any configuration management, so there were servers that were deployed with some configuration and others that were created before that didn't have that configuration. We faced the Snowflake server that we make a lot of things by hand, like for example, the last one was expand the /var file system. And we want to automate new deployments. So we started to think about how do we automate these things. We thought about having some golden OSP image that we will clone for every node, or maybe HIP and cloud init scripts, or maybe PXC for deployment the base instance. We also were thinking about configuration management with Ansible or Puppet, and also the package lifecycle management with Satellite or maybe Twitch. And finally, the winners was Ansible and Puppet using Satellite. So we started to build some Puppet modules like the ones that are in this slide for base stuff like base packages, DNS, NTP, a lot of things that are common for all the instances in our infrastructure. Also for things like manage Docker configuration, for example, the Docker storage plugin, the proxy configuration, things like open files limits, things like that. And also for the OpenShift nodes and OpenShift masters. And we do all these Puppet modules thinking about parameterization to be able to modify a lot of things with just a simple parameter modification. For that kind of things, we use Hyera using a Git repo backend, so we are able to track modification on the parameters. And this Hyera and the Puppet modules are deployed in Capsule, which means that we use Satellite to manage all our current configuration. And for Ansible, we created a few playbooks. The first one was just to deploy a basic instance, which means create the OpenStack instance, given the instance a floating IP, the correct volumes attachment, such and such. We have an internal DNS, which Christian talked about before, and we need to register the instance in that DNS. Register the instance also in Satellite to be able to apply all the modules. Apply the modules, run and Zoom update to be on the same content view in all the instance, and reboot. So with this basic provision playbook, we have a proper base server, and it will be customized later according to the role. We created also a custom playbook to add a new node to the OpenShift cluster, which means the tasks that are on the slide, like, for example, create the node certificates, copy the node certificates from the master to the node, move the host to the proper Satellite host group, and run Puppet, which means that all the Puppet modules attached on the OpenStack, on the OpenShift node are run, all the Docker configuration, OpenShift, and these kind of things. We also set up proper OpenShift labels. We set it as non-schedulable, and we pre-pull the Docker images needed for our infrastructure. Finally, we reboot the node, and the node is ready to be schedulable, and that's it. So for the current procedure of installing a new region, we use the custom playbook to create all the OpenStack instance, not just the OpenShift ones, but also, for example, the monitoring ones. we install the OpenShift using the default OpenShift Ansible playbooks, but we just install the masters and the etcd because we use our custom playbook to all the nodes. And that's pretty much it. We have a few list of to-do features, which are, for example, automate all the post OpenShift installation, like the customization of ACCs or deploy the routers and such. We want to have one single button to be able to deploy one region with just a click or just a script call. And we also are working on automate the OpenShift ecosystem, like, for example, the monitoring infrastructure, the Elasticsearch, the persistent volumes creation, and this kind of things. And that's it for my part. Thank you.
That's all?
All right. Well, that was a lot, actually, so thank you all very much. There have been a number of questions in the chat room, and I'm wondering myself a little bit. You've done some custom work here, and I'm wondering how much of it are you looking to push back into like OpenShift Origin, the open source project under the hood, and is it possible to do that, or is the custom work that you're doing with Ansible and Puppet very particular to your configuration?
Well, we are thinking about that, but at the moment we don't have any concrete idea for that question.
Okay. Well, I'll keep pushing you on that, seeing as I'm doing the community management. I'd love to see some of these lessons learned incorporated into so everybody else can use it as well. So one of the questions Hugo asked was, you're using Ansible and Puppet, and could you do these things that you're talking about, these customizations with just Ansible?
Well, that's a great question. Yeah, yes, I think that it is possible. It's my point of view. We are thinking about that. We probably for the next region we will use just one of them. I don't know which one, but I can say you that the Ansible is really easy to use, easy to learn. But we are thinking about that.
Cool. There's another question that just came up. Do you run separate OpenShift systems for SDLC environments, dev, test, integration, prod?
No, we do not run separate OpenShift systems. We have separate production and non-production applications are separated in the same OpenShift instance. They do not run in the same nodes, but we have the same cluster. We deploy just one cluster per data center.
Yes, and the idea is that we use the same cluster for all the different environments, but the productions, we have a special nodes only for production applications.
Okay, and I'm going back in the chat a little bit here. For SSL on SDN, are you using wildcard certs or installing one per application?
We are using both. We have a default wildcard certificate, but if the application wants to use its own certificate, it's also possible. Yes.
And there are a few questions about what are you using for your Docker registries? Are you exposing the one that comes with OpenShift, or are you standing up something external like Artifactory or Nexus?
We are trying to use Core OS Enterprise Registry.
At the moment, we...
Go ahead.
Okay.
At the moment, you're using...
Yes, we are using open source enterprise registry. but soon we will deploy the CoreOS enterprise.
Very interesting how you managed to use some of the best, different best practices from different offerings. It's really a nice overview of everything. There's another question in here. Are you using LDAP to authenticate users into OpenShift or for users of applications hosted on OpenShift?
We use LDAP for OpenShift users. What's used in each application is a responsibility of OpenShift users, which are the developers, and we have nothing to say about that.
Let's see. Are there any other questions out there? I think we've answered most of the ones that have come in. There's one here. I think you answered it in the talk, so there we go. Here's a new question. How do you authorize users for OpenShift? I think that's...
Well, I don't understand exactly the question, but we are using LDAP. We use the authentication and authorization modules that OpenShift provides.
The thing is, for users, they need to belong to a proper LDAP group to be able to log in OpenShift. So if any user from Produban wants to use OpenShift, they need to be added on that particular group.
Yes, we have a very big solution for ALM, and we share an onboarding procedure for each new user. There is a onboarding solution to create the user in LDAP and also to add that user to a specific LDAP group for OpenShift.
So I'll ask you guys, what are the new features that you're looking forward to in the coming releases of OpenShift?
Oh, excellent question, Diane. Excellent question. Performance, and performance. Yes, we would like to do some vertical scaling. So we are waiting for the next version 3.2 that will use Kubernetes version 1.2.3, yep. And the pod limit will be, I think, 110 pods per node. So for us, the most important feature is performance and vertical scaling.
The main fact is that we could develop big VMs with many pods in each VM, but we cannot do it not because of an infrastructure limit, but because of an OpenShift limitation. Okay. OpenShift does not support more than some quantity of pods, regardless of how big your VM is. And the next version is going to fix that, and that's what we are looking for.
All right. Well, we're all looking forward to the release party for the next one too. So that's coming soon. So and we're hoping that as it comes out the door, you'd be one of the first ones to do some testing and review and feedback on that as well. And I know you guys have been involved prior to the release. So thank you very much for all of your efforts on working with us on the OpenShift project, and also for coming here today and talking with us about your production multi-region deployment. I learned a lot, and I really wish we could get you in front of the entire OpenStack community in Austin soon. So I'm going to see what I can do to figure out how to get you guys to Texas. And hopefully we can figure out how to get more OpenStackers using OpenShift as well. This is about the third production conversation I've had this week about OpenShift on OpenStack, and it's really, really brilliant to see it working, as well as the Ceph stuff. So this is great stuff. And if people have questions for them, you can log into the mailing list on OpenShift Commons and ask. I will try and post this recording pretty quickly, and I'll ask Christian to send me his slides, so if people want to take notes from that. I will add those to the mailing list as well. And thanks again, everybody. Have a nice evening over there in Spain. And everybody who joined us, thank you very much.
Thanks, Diane.
All right. Take care, guys.